Hey guys, what's going on today? We're going to be walking through Mythic Ulgrax on my Brewmaster Monk from my point of view and kind of what I did to both tank this fight and like where I was using my cooldowns exactly. It's a little bit up in the air in terms of like my defensives. It was like if I felt like I needed it, I'd hit it. If not, like I would just use it on ad sets. But this is a very long fight. I think our kill time ended up being close to 9 minutes, which is very long. I was running kind of a standard talent set. I'll link it down below as well as my logs for this fight. I think the damage parse was around like a 97 percentile, so I felt like I did pretty well on my ad set cooldowns. In terms of like my gear, I think there's some optimizations I can still get. I'm still like missing, decent damage trinkets from later in the raid. I'm also missing like the one-handed weapon, but outside of that, I felt like I did pretty good. So what we're going to be doing here at the start of the boss fight is that we're going to be dragging the boss towards the edge of the arena. I don't really see the point in this, but this is the strat that we decided to do. I think moving the boss at the start is like really awkward because he opens up instantly with the tank buster, which goes on my co-tank, and then he goes into Venom, which is AoE damage, and then he goes into Stalker's Webbing, which is the swirls on the ground, and then after that, now we can move the boss. So I taunted for the second time because warriors just do some insane damage on pull, especially with Mountain Thane. And then for the tank buster, I'm going to be trying to commit some type of cooldown if I'm low. If I'm full health, I don't care too much. It's not really the hit that's important. It's the fact that he applies 20 stacks of a healing absorb, and it's 10% per stack. So at 20 stacks, you have a 200% healing absorb, so you pretty much can't heal. Now, luckily, we are a Brewmaster Monk, and we have access to Celestial Brew, so we're fine. And then I am in the second soak set, not the first, so I'm just standing here DPSing the boss. On Mythic, you can only soak once per phase. I don't know the length of the cooldown or the debuff on you. I think it's like a minute or two. But basically, you can only soak one of the sets, the soaks per phase. But pretty much you're just taunt swapping after every single brutal crash, and it's just a healing absorb. But again, we have a pretty good comp for this, only because both of our tanks primarily absorb damage through like Ignore Pain and Celestial Brew, so we're kind of just chilling. So here comes the second group. This is my set. I'm going to be placing down a Transcendence, Tiger's Listing myself. I'm trying to get close to at least Keg Smash and Breath of Fire. When it gets a little too close, I do a little roll, I dash away using Lighter Than Air, and then we're just back on the boss. The pulling lasts for like 6 seconds, so Transcendence should cover you just fine. Tiger's Lust and a roll with like a little dash is also good. I'm rolling right before that Smash goes off when he's phasing, and then I use Lighter of Air to counter the knockback to make sure that I'm still having decent uptime on the boss. And then we're going to be going into the ad phase. So the strategy that's kind of developed here for, I think, most groups who are clearing this on normal, heroic, and mythic is that you really want the ads to come to you. So we're all staying over here instead of us going to the ads and then having to run across the entire platform to feed the boss. We're ideally going to be killing the ads where the boss is going to spawn, which should be around the X marker. And we're just going to be chilling here. Now, we did have a couple early deaths on this pull, but we're going to end up just battle resing our healer who died, and it'll be a fine kill. I'm then placing down Ox Statue and using an AoE Taunt Provoke to make sure I have threat on everything once all of the ads come in. And this is where I would feel like I need to use, I just use a 7-stack Celestial Brew there right into a Black Axe Brew reset, and then we're just going to continue the phase as usual. I still have access to Zen Med and Fortifying Brew if I feel like I need it. And the boss is still immune, so I don't know why I'm hitting it here. I should be feeding it a little bit faster, but that's okay. Honestly, because of how close the ads died, I figured we'd actually get out of this phase really quickly, so I ended up feeding it twice. I think every single person needs to feed twice. I think each one is 4 that you give, so he needs 20 or no? Maybe I'm wrong about that. I think it's 4%. And then this is just going to start the phase over. So my co-tank Nama is going to be just taking the first one, and we're just rotating every single time. When we do have the healing absorb, we do want to be a little careful with this digestive acid debuff that the boss puts out. If you have high stacks and you're out of defensives, it could put yourself in danger, especially because this boss hits pretty hard. But luckily his spell Qs make it so it's not too bad. Now, I kind of blinked out here. And I thought I was supposed to be soaking this one because I thought this was second. We ended up pulling this boss like 4 times, and honestly, I'm just kind of out of it. So I ended up soaking here, which ends up being fine. We only have 9 in the next set then. And it's now when I realized that I was like, oh, shucks, I wasn't supposed to soak that one because I saw our other tank repositioned right after that as well, which is okay. But I actually took 2 tank busters in a row there, which meant that I actually went up to like 23 stacks. So I'm kind of scared here. So I just sat in Zen Med for a little bit. just to make sure I was able to sit out some of those higher stacks. So when I got to lower stacks, I still had access to like my free Vivify through Vivacious Vivification, as well as Expel Harm. All right, so boss is doing the pull-in on, I think, only like 7 targets or 8 targets. So it's a little bit stronger for them, but no one dies there, so it's fine. And then I'm going to taunt off on the Tank Buster. And our other tank taunted back for some reason. I think it might have been a Fat Finger. Doesn't really matter because the boss is facing anyways. I'm rolling in, getting my Lighter Than Air buff. Right when he lands, I'm countering it, and I'm trying to get decent uptime on the boss. And that's it. It's just like a rinse and repeat. And the big thing here is that the ads will spawn in basically 3 quadrants next to each other. So we have Diamond, Triangle, and X, and we should be trying to move them over to the opposite side. So in this case, it's going to be the moon marker. I'm kind of moving a lot just to see where the ads are spawning from, which ones are spawning. Extending in the web stuns you instead of rooting you, like that's another mythic mechanic. So we want to break them out right away so they can dodge. And then we're just trying to bring the ads to the moon-ish marker so we can feed almost instantly. I'm going to be replacing down my Ox statue. It's right underneath the mobs now, and once the rest of these come in, I'm going to be using an AoE provoke. As you can see, all the nameplates will start to turn green here, and then we went to like an exploding keg cycle. Basically, exploding keg I'm using like once during the regular phase, and then I definitely want it for intermission. So I'm pretty much using it on cooldown, but I'll occasionally hold it if I need that extra little like if I need to sit on it for like 10 or 20 seconds for ads to come in, I'll do that. So right now, I should be trying to feed, but I'm not. I'm going to run in here as I'm tanking these last 2 Tank Buster spawns, as well as trying to click. Now, you do have to target the boss in order to feed it, so you do want to pay attention to that. And I think I ended up feeding it 3 times here, and then we're going to go back again into phase 1. And we're pretty much going to repeat this one more time. So now in this case, I only have access to Dampen Harm now. I've used the rest of my cooldowns because when you AoE taunt all those ads, you want to be very careful because if there's 15 of them active, it's not that they hit hard, but when you have 15 mobs hitting you, you'll take a good bit of damage. Luckily, Brewmaster and Warrior are both really good at that, and we both have AoE taunts. He has his challenging shout, and I have my AoE taunt, my Ox statue kind of provoke. I have a really good macro in my Discord for it too. If you want my AoE taunt macro. Basically how it works is it'll automatically target my Ox statue, taunt, and then target my last target, which is very convenient. And when there's no Ox statue, it's just going to like taunt your whatever target you're targeting. This time I remember not to soak on the first set and do it on the second, which is my actual assigned group. And then again, Celestial Brew isn't affected by the healing. So the first hit, if you're healthy, you don't really need to use anything, but then if you happen to be taking more damage while you still have high stacks, basically anything above 10, commit a Celestial Brew to avoid taking damage for a little bit of time. And then these green swirls just need to be making sure they're standing near webs and pretty much chill. All right, so then this set's a little weird because we weren't able to clear like a full lane, so this wasn't probably the best placement. Other people will just have to run further than I do, but I don't really mind because, again, Tiger's Lust, Roll, Dash, Transcendence, monks are very good at countering kind of this type of mechanic, which is like basically a suck or a grip, which you're going to see throughout this raid entirely. And last but not least, we're heading into the last phase. And here's what I love is if you see right here above my like little UI, you can see that I have the little thing that says shadow. That means my next time I spend 400 energy with Shado-pan, I'm going to be proccing the shadow damage of flurry strikes, which is really, really good. So I'm trying to stay near the ads this time because I want to keep spending energy so I don't waste this buff. Now, it does last for 40 seconds, but we want to be very careful here. I'm rolling out and dashing away from this, but I'm still trying to at least hit one mob on me to make sure that I'm gaining energy. And we're going to start grouping up by the rest of our group, and I'm going to be dropping an Ox statue eventually, and this shadow damage, I think, should proc here shortly. I think. Maybe, if I'm lucky. Or not. I actually ended up not getting the shadow damage. I was a little late. That's kind of on me. I think I missed a couple globals on Tiger Palm. Spinning Crane Kick does not grant you, currently still, it doesn't grant you the energy. So my damage would have been a little higher if that actually ended up proccing on that, because that's the big AoE damage. But outside of that, that's okay. Now, I wish we cleared roots. We didn't. I don't know if we had any immunities available, but these roots kind of made feeding the boss a little difficult. And that's pretty much it. So we're going to continue feeding the boss, and then, I mean, he pretty much dies here, right? He's like, what, 5% health left? So I'm going to be using my trinket here in a second, is going to be coming up. I have the trinket from this boss, but on Heroic. So I'm going to be sending that, and then as well as I have Touch of Death here. So a little Touch of Death should get that. Someone got stunned behind me, but boss dies. And that is Mythic Ulgrax You know, there's a couple of optimizations I could have made, especially in that like that end of the fight with my actually procking the Shado-pan damage for Shadow. But outside of that, honestly, like pretty happy with my performance. And we're going to be moving on to Bloodbound Horror next. So let me know if you have any questions, and I will catch you all in the next one. Peace.